What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com and welcome to our preview of the Belmont Stakes live from Saratoga, Saturday, June 8th. It'll be race 12 on the card. The Belmont Stakes, obviously a grade 1 event, $2 million the purse, and must note, they're going to go a mile and a quarter, not a mile and a half, a mile and a quarter here at Saratoga. It gets a field of 10. Real quick, why they're not going a mile and a half at Saratoga? It has nothing to do with they want to eliminate the mile and a half from the racing schedule or anything like that. It's a very simple thing. Saratoga is built in the middle of a neighborhood and the middle of town. They just don't have a lot of places where they can expand. They actually looked at an expansion to kind of lengthen the stretch run and kind of make a chute at the top of the stretch. They could not do it. They could not build it because there's a road right there and it would have taken up the road. So they couldn't do it. Their only option was to run a mile and a quarter or start it at a mile and a half and start the race on a turn. It just wasn't going to work. So that's why it's at a mile and a quarter here at Saratoga. All right, let's get to it, though. A field of 10 set to go in this one. We'll start with the Preakness winner, actually. We'll start with number 1, Seize the Gray. So Seize the Gray will kick it off here. And look, 2 straight wins in a row, the Pat Day Mile and the Preakness Stakes. Of course, the Pat Day Mile was on Kentucky Derby Day, Preakness Stakes. So if he wins the Belmont Stakes, he's kind of has the quote-unquote Seize the Gray Lucas Triple Crown. It will not be the Kentucky Derby, but the Pat Day Mile. So that would be pretty darn cool for sure if he could pull it off. You know, the more I kind of analyzed the race, the more I kind of started to like him a little bit more than I thought I would. I think the rail's a good draw for him as long as he breaks, and that's with anybody. You got to, in a big race, you got to break most times. If he breaks well, he's going to get the rail. He's going to get the lead. Is he not going to get a similar trip that he did in the Preakness? I kind of think so. I think somebody will probably try to pressure him a little more in this spot, but I kind of think he's going to get the trip. I think he'll get a similar trip, a mile and 3/16 to a mile and a quarter, similar distance. I don't see any reason why he can't win. The more I look at this, it's like, well, if he runs the Preakness race, he might just hold on. And speed going 2 turns at Saratoga really isn't anything bad. It's kind of what you want. So, like I said, I didn't really think going into it that Seize the Gray would be one I would want to put on a ticket. But, I mean, the more I looked at this, it's like, is there any reason why he can't do exactly what he did in the Preakness in this race? I mean, maybe if you think it was a fluke, because it was a bigger number than he's ever gotten by far. But I don't know. The more you think about it, I think the trip's going to be pretty good. I wouldn't be shocked if he wins this race. And that's not something I thought I would say out loud, but I handicap what the data tells me and things I've looked at for over 15 years doing this. And he makes sense if he can run that Preakness race. Now, if you don't think he can get back to it, his other races are too slow, right? But that Preakness race is fast enough to win this one. All right, the number 2 is Resilience. Resilience coming off of a 6th place effort in the Kentucky Derby. He drew horribly in the Kentucky Derby. He's much better drawn here than 2-hole. I think he's going to get a pretty good trip. I think the Wood Memorial type trip is what he's going to get here. I think he'll have to improve off that Wood Memorial / Kentucky Derby effort. Both were good, but both weren't like outstanding in my opinion. So I think with Resilience, we need to see him improve a little bit here, but he has a reason to, a right to, whatever you want to say. Bill Mott, a great trainer. You know, he's pretty good about spotting horses and having them progress. So he's got a chance to get better. And I think at 10-1, he makes a little bit of sense, especially underneath. I think he's one that I'm going to have to consider. The number 3 really needs no introduction. That is Mystik Dan, of course, the Kentucky Derby winner and 2nd in the Preakness. I gained a lot of respect for him in the Preakness. I thought he ran extremely well in that race, ran tough. He tried. He just couldn't get Seize the Gray. He obviously is doing pretty well. I think with the Preakness, there was a pressure, obviously, to run him there after winning the Kentucky Derby. But when you think about this in the Belmont, there's really no pressure to run him here, outside pressure. And, Kenny McPeak brought him up here and said, if he's doing well, we'll run. And he's obviously doing well. So number 3, Mystik Dan, look, I've gained a lot of respect for him in that last race. I think, he's going to sit a pretty good trip here, break, sit inside, try to tip out and make that move. And there's no reason to think he can't get the trip that he needs. So I think he shows up with a big chance once again. The number 4 is the Wine Steward. I thought the horse was really good off the layoff in the Lexington Stakes, ran a solid race, a race you could build off of. The Peter Pan, I don't think it was a bad race, but it was a little disappointing he didn't kick on and win. He had every chance there and just didn't do it. So the Wine Steward for me, could he bounce back and run okay here? I think so, but I don't know. He might be more of like a underneath type of horse. I don't have a lot of interest in him to win. The number 5 Antiquarian, he's the horse that beat the Wine Steward in the Peter Pan. He's progressing really well. He's getting better with each start. Louisiana Derby, he broke through the gate before the start. He still only got beat 4 lengths to, some decent horses there. So he's another one. I'm not sure he's good enough. I think he's going to get a really good trip. I think, again, underneath, he makes a little bit of sense. I don't think he can get all the way up and actually win. The number 6 is Dornoch. Look, it's been a disaster his last 2 races. The Bluegrass, I didn't really see a valid excuse. Kentucky Derby, I mean, he just got cut off. He drew horribly. That's number 1, drew the rail. And then Mystik Dan just cut his ass off and wouldn't let him get to the spot he wanted to get to. Listen, I think today he draws the middle. Just send and get him in a spot that where he's had success before, which is on the lead. Get him there. If he fades, he fades. Get him to the front. I think with him in the race and what's happened in the last 2 races, I really think he is the one that can speed this thing up. I think we know Seize the Grade's going to go, and I think Dornoch, it's going to be his job to go with him. And if he does, we could see a really good setup for stalkers or closers. And if he doesn't, Seize the Grade could be alone. That's kind of the way I look at it. I just don't see any reason why they're not going to send him here. So we'll see what they do with him. I don't really have a lot of interest in him either way, but I do think he's going to play a presence in the pace. The number 7 is Protective, and this horse is still a maiden. That's not great, obviously. But look, second in a maiden special weight right here at Saratoga, got beat by Valentine Candy, who's ended up being a good horse. Third in a maiden at Tampa, where he was terrible. Then third in the Wood, he ran really well. And third in the Peter Pan, I mean, he was okay. He was 2 lengths behind Antiquarian, and then the Wine Steward, a length and a quarter behind. I can't support him here. He's a maiden running in the Belmont Stakes, but I don't think it's like impossible that he runs okay. But at the end of the day, there's more horses that I would rather play in here. All right, number 8 is Honor Marie. I think this is a horse that's very intriguing now that he's going to be the correct price and now that he's not the wise guy horse. He went into the Kentucky Derby as way the wise guy horse, and he lost all chance at the start. He just got a horrible start. He's 20th. He's no way this horse wanted to be 20th, obviously, and still tried to make up some ground, tried to make a little middle move and then flattened out. But look, I think he's a definitely one I'm interested in now that we're going to be the correct, kind of bet here. So we'll see what happens with him. I still question that he's good enough to actually win the race. And that's where it's at with me. I could see him maybe hitting the board here at a good number. I don't think he's going to get all the way up there and win it, but it's very interesting now that he's not the wise guy horse. You might start to think, well, maybe he's got a much better shot to win now. All right. The number 9 is Sierra Leone. Obviously a horse that, kind of a heartbreaking loss in the Kentucky Derby, just lost by a nose. Just bumping with Forever Young the whole length of the stretch. Who knows? I think the bumping cost Forever Young or Sierra Leone the race. It's hard to tell who would have won if there wasn't any bumping. It seemed to me like Sierra Leone had all the momentum, and then he started to do the thing where he lugs in, and then it just knocked him and Forever Young both off. So look, he comes here. He's 2 noses away from being a perfect 5 for 5. He has lost some screwy ones. The Remsen's probably one he never should have lost. He passes, Dornoch, and then he waits. And then the Derby, you kind of exit that race thinking either him or Sierra Leone probably should have won, but they didn't. And then his other races, he's been, very good. So I think he's going to have to hope Dornoch or the horse I'm going to talk about next kind of go early and set it up for him. But like I said, I think they might. I think he might get the setup you need. I am very interested to see what Flavian Pratt does. You've seen Pratt on dirt horses that are dead closers, and you've seen him not ride them for speed, but get them a little more in the race a little bit earlier. I'm interested to see if he didn't try that with Sierra Leone. And again, I'm not saying Sierra Leone's going to be third up the backside, but I'm saying in a field of 10, he might be seventh or eighth. They might try to get him not close, but just get him a little better position and see if he fires. So that'll be interesting to me. There's been a lot of people asking about Tyler Gaffalione and why, he's no longer on the horse. I know I've seen a lot of comments saying, well, he's been really good. He won the Risen Star. He won the Bluegrass. He did a good job with him. I totally agree. He did. The problem is he was given, if you can believe Chad Brown, he was given instructions of specific things he wanted to make sure he did in the Derby. And Tyler Gaffalione simply didn't do those things. So you're fired, right? I mean, to me, it's that simple, especially when you lose in the fashion that this horse lost. He lost by a nose. He really, I don't know what Gaffalione was doing in like late stretch, grabbing for Forever Young and just being, I don't know what he was doing. Just ride your horse, right? But anyway, there were some specific instructions. And one was, don't get yourself in a spot where you can't hit the horse left-handed, because he lugs in and we need to hit him left-handed. He wasn't able to do that. So it's unfortunate. I have nothing against Gaffalione. I think he's a great rider. But in this situation, if what Chad Brown is saying is true, you probably had to make a change. You felt like you had to. You lost the biggest race by a nose, and the jock didn't do what you told him. So it is what it is, right? All right. Finally, the number 10 is Mindframe. And this is one of the more interesting horses without any question coming into the race. Can he jump up in class and get the job done? Maiden Special Weight at Gulfstream Park, won like a freak. An allowance at Churchill Downs, again, won very easily. The bad news is he has beaten next to nothing in those two races. The good news is he did it without getting out of first gear. I mean, he was really, really special. He way has an all or nothing feel to me. I don't think he's going to finish second or third, right? I think he's going to be freakishly good and dominate and win, or you're not going to see him once the real running begins. Because the way I kind of look at it, for a horse that this lightly raced, to jump up in the Belmont Stakes as the first stakes race, and against a pretty good Belmont field, it's a big time leap. And I think it's going to take a really, really special horse, or a horse with special ability to do it and to win. And so for that, I couldn't put him on top, but I do think this horse has a high ceiling. If Saturday's not his day, I'm not going to be shocked. If Saturday is his day, I'm not going to be shocked either. I think he's risky to play to win, but I do think playing him in your multi-races, it wouldn't be the worst idea, because there is a world where this horse is just kind of a freak, right? And he just kind of goes out there and just kind of dominates. I'm just skeptical that he's that good. Like, we're talking he's going to have to be really, really good to do that. But still, the talent's there. I really loved his first two races. We'll see if he can make it 3 for 3. All right, that's the field of 10. Gosh, I can't believe I almost picked Mystik Dan at one time, and I just thought, I just don't know. I think this race runs through Sierra Leone. I really do. I hate that you're picking a closer at Saratoga going 2 turns, but I really think the pace is going to get hot enough for him to run into. I don't think it's going to be blazing, but it's going to be just hot enough. I think he's going to get there. I think number 9, Sierra Leone, gets there this time, gets revenge on Mystik Dan. Another big factor when it comes to Sierra Leone versus Mystik Dan or Seize the Gray. Both these horses, they did run, and Seize the Gray didn't run in the Derby, but he ran on Derby Day, now Preakness Day. Now it's the 3rd race in 5 weeks for both these horses, where Sierra Leone has just been up here preparing for this. I think that's going to make a difference when you get to this. So I think Sierra Leone might be a smidge better than them. Plus, he's a well-rested horse. I think he's going to be tough. So number 9, Sierra Leone, on top for me in the Belmont Stakes. All right, that'll do it for our preview of the Belmont Stakes. If you want free win picks, you can go to racingdudes.com, get free win picks for every track every day. If you want exacta tries and multis, you can go check out the premium products. We've got a lot of stuff that covers everything you might need there. All right, guys, hit the like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you really like it. Want to get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting the Belmont on Saturday.